Yes, fight fans, body and mind sports, my people. You are fully appreciated in this round, my guys, my people. So let's get right into it. Yeah, so first I just want to start with an apology, by the way, because I've been missing in action for at least 3-4 days now. But it has been for good reason. Of course, I have to make a living, and the hours I've been working, man, terribly unsociable. It has been depleting my energy, but now that I've taken the time out to, just recoup, I'm now rejuvenated and I am back with another one. So my sincere apologies for being missing in action. But we are back with another one. Thank you for bearing with me, but we are back with another one, my guys, my people. And this one, I want to make it about some news that have come to the surface, this past week, this week just gone. News concerning Zuffa boxing and the sanctioning bodies that would lead us to believe that they can work together, right? Not even lead us to believe. It's evidence that they can work together, despite what Zuffa says or said from get-go, when they entered into the business of boxing, that they are here to get rid of the sanctioning bodies. They don't want a relationship with them. There never will be a relationship, my guys, my people. However, not according to the news, that have surfaced so far, not according to the news, my guys, my people. Let's get right into it so you guys will understand where I'm coming from and exactly where I'm taking this, right? Exactly where I'm taking this. So let's get right into it. I'm starting with David Benavidez. So David Benavidez, fight fans, a lot of fight fans, a good section of fight fans are heavily against him right now. And they are calling him a duck. They're calling David Benavidez a duck after the Ring magazine. According to the Ring magazine, Turki Al Sheikh, Dana White, and Zuffa Boxing apparently made an offer to David Benavidez to fight Jai Opetaia. But David Benavidez, he turned down the offer, stating that they wanted to chase a fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez instead. All right. Not only that, but David Benavidez had also petitioned to be instated as the mandatory challenger to the WBC cruiserweight champion Noel McCallion and his title, and that raised a lot of eyebrows and drew a lot of attention. But it didn't stop there. The controversy didn't stop there, because what followed was the WBC who took advantage of the situation, and upon being alerted that Noel McCallion was actually in advanced talks to make a fight with Jai Opetaia, who is a Zuffa belt holder, so he's a Zuffa champion and a Zuffa fighter, right? And the WBC didn't like it. They didn't like it, so they intercepted and ordered that McCallion fight David Benavidez instead, or he gets stripped, or he's going to be stripped. So they are threatening him, basically bullying him. They're forcing him to fight David Benavidez. Not cool stuff. Not cool at all. Not cool at all. First, let's address the thing about Benavidez being called a duck. And what people need to understand is that Benavidez is not the Benavidez of the days of yesteryear, when he was begging for a fight from Saul Canelo Alvarez, when he was begging for a mandatory fight at 168, whilst the WBC had Canelo under protection from Benavidez. And this is not 2025 either, when Benavidez had no title and was begging for a mandatory bout from Dimitri Bivol, but Bivol chose to vacate instead to chase a trilogy with Opetaia along with Turkey. You know, this is not the same David Benavidez. Yes, he's avoiding Opetaia, but let's consider that Opetaia is a Zuffa fighter. We know the politics between Zuffa and the sanctioning bodies, and Benavidez is a sanctioning body belt holder. Not only that, but he is tied with the WBC. He is tied with the WBC because he is champion with the WBC at light heavyweight, and he is WBO WBA champion at cruiserweight after demolishing Zerdo Ramirez, right? So he's tied with the WBC, and he's got leverage right now. He's got leverage right now. His career has gained a lot of momentum, and he's in a great spot, and he's taking advantage of it. See, in Benavidez's situation, Opetaia is not the fight for him to take right now. As much as us fight fans demand it, Opetaia has a mission. He's focused on becoming undisputed. He is focused on becoming undisputed. Now, had he been offered the Bivol fight, I guarantee you he would have snapped at it as quickly as a snapping turtle, as sharp as a hungry piranha. He would have snapped at that Bivol fight, but Bivol is not available, right? Bivol is tied up with Opetaia to fight in Russia at the end of the year, with the Russians offering both fighters 20 million each to take that fight. Can you see Bivol walking away from that overinflated guaranteed purse to fight Benavidez, when him and Benavidez are not going to be able to generate enough together to offset that 20 million? So yeah, the Bivol Benavidez fight, we're not going to get that one either. So it seems. So it seems, right? So yeah, Benavidez sees his opportunity to still keep his undisputed ambitions alive, and so he's going for the next best thing. Him and Bivol would have been undisputed at light heavyweight, but the next best thing is to stay on track, fight the next available champion, and that is no McCallion. No McCallion, my guys, my people. You know, now the WBC, right, ordering no McCallion now. We know that's highly controversial. It's also very, very highly controversial the fact that David Benavidez, a champion, is able to insert himself as a mandatory to another champion. But guess what? According to Sam Lukowitz, it's part of the WBO rule to allow their champion, no matter what division they compete in, to be able to put themselves forward to be mandatory to another champion in the same division, or that other champion, if they compete in a division above or just below. So just above or just below the division that the WBO champion competes in. Sounds complicated, isn't it? It is complicated, and I've never come across it before. I've never seen it being rolled out into action before either. So that is very weird, very weird. What the WBC did, sanctioning, or should I say, ordering a champion to fight another. Again, these things are very rare, you know. So they are pulling out all the stops to keep David Benavidez away and free to be able to talk with Zuffa. David Benavidez is an asset to them now, and they know they messed up when they should have made that fight with Canelo and Benavidez at 168. So they owe him, and they're doing everything to keep him happy, keep him on code, and keep him on side. So whatever Benavidez says now, Benavidez gets. Benavidez gets, my guys, my people. Whereas McCallion is just used as a simple pawn in all of this because he doesn't have enough commercial leverage to have sway on the WBC. It's just as simple as that. Plus, it's a way to keep McCallion, who is a WBC champion, away from Opetaia, who is a Zuffa fighter. Remember, Zuffa and the sanctioning bodies, they're supposed to be in opposition, right? And WBC don't want to be seen as, you know, as if they're building Zuffa, their brand, and their champion. They want to stay clear of all of that. So for this situation, I'm gonna say all is fair in love and war. All is fair in love and war. This is what we expect. This is what is consistent with you know, the stance that Zuffa took initially, that they will never work with the sanctioning bodies, that in fact they want to get rid of the sanctioning bodies and kick them out of the sport of boxing, that the sanctioning bodies are the problem in the sport of boxing. Well, such a stance would warrant this sort of behavior from the WBC. So all is fair in love and war. However, the news that we have gotten within this week, every other news that followed that, has been one of Zuffa and the sanctioning bodies working together or planning to work together. It's crazy. Boxing is an absolute madhouse. Zuffa is a madhouse. The sanctioning bodies, madhouses. Just one big madhouse. This boxing thing is crazy. It will drive you mad. It will drive you mad. Now, it remains to be seen whether camillian will fight Benavidez or is going to take the Opetaia fight and vacate. Let's see what happens. Now, if he does vacate, it's very likely that Benavidez fights what's his name, Mikhail Sislak, right? Mikhail Sislak for the title. Mikhail Sislak, the real WBC interim champion and mandatory to you know camillian. So that is the fight that the WBC should have ordered. Really, that is the fight they should have ordered. Well, anyway, let's get right into it. I hope that after all of this camillian shenanigan and all of that, I hope that David Benavidez's next fight is a real one. I hope that his next fight is a real one. A Bivol, a Better Beef, somebody, somebody, my guys. Even a Jai, my guys. And when Bivol does become available, how does he shed the weight? Because I'm assuming it's gonna be harder. I'm assuming it's gonna be harder coming down from cruiserweight, you know, after camillian. And Benavidez, this sort of indicate this because he suggested that maybe him and Bivol could fight at light heavyweight for undisputed at a catchweight. That doesn't make sense, because anything, if you fight anywhere above the light heavyweight limit of 175 pounds, then you're essentially fighting at cruiserweight. How are you going to fight for light heavyweight titles at cruiserweight? It doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense. So that is indicating to me that he's possibly feeling more than comfortable at cruiserweight already. Yep, more comfortable than he felt at light heavyweight, possibly. So yeah, let's wait and see of what transpires out of that situation. Anyway, my guys, my people. Now, with that said, let's now get into the shenanigans, the rubbing of shoulders between the between the sanctioning bodies and Zuffa. All right, which Zuffa said will never happen. Will never happen. Let's go through the list. All right. First off, we have Ryan Garcia, right? According to Mauricio Suleiman of the WBC, Ryan Garcia will be putting his welterweight strap on the line against a Zuffa fighter in Conor Ben. And the WBC says as long as Zuffa Boxing is willing to cooperate and behave itself, just as all the other promotions will follow the rules, if Zuffa is willing to follow the rules, Conor Ben can fight for the title. Conor Ben can fight for the title. Yet, Opetaia, he can't fight. You know, he can't fight no camillian. All right, Jai Opetaia can't fight No McCallion, even though No McCallion is, you know, wasn't going to put his belt on the line in the first place. It was going to be Jai's Ring Magazine belt that was going to be on the line. So I guess it's just a thing where the WBC possibly has a problem with Jai being the Zuffa champion. That might be the case. Because this is not fair. It doesn't seem fair. It's like they have waged a full frontal war on Jai Opetaia. I just don't get it, my guys, my people. So Ryan Garcia will be allowed to put his WBC strap on the line against Conor Benn come September. Right? But it does not end there. It does not end there. More proof that they are willing to work together. Right? That Zuffa is willing to compromise. Because on the 8th of August at the Free Arena in Dublin, Ireland, two Zuffa fighters, Aaron McKenna and Etinosa Eliho, they are fighting in the undercard of Callum Walsh and Tyler Denny. Right? But get this. Aaron McKenna and Etinosa Eliho, the undercard fighters, they are fighting for the vacant IBF strap at 160 pounds. That strap, which was vacated or was stripped from Janibek Alimkonali, the champion that tested for PEDs, right? Tested positive for PEDs. Now we have two Zuffa fighters fighting for that championship. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. This makes stripping Jai Opetaia of his IBF cruiserweight strap, makes that make absolutely no sense. It just makes that make absolutely zero sense. Why did they strip him when you can be a Zuffa fighter and still fight for a sanctioning belt? What's the point of stripping Jai Opetaia? Right? And then Richardson Hitchens, what was the point of him having to give up his IBF junior welterweight strap to join Zuffa? If Zuffa fighters are actually allowed to fight for sanctioning belts, especially the IBF, right? The IBF was involved in Jai's situation. In Richardson Hitchens' situation, again, it's the IBF belt. And then the fight that the two Zuffa fighters are fighting for is also the IBF belt. Make it make sense. Listen, they need to reinstate Jai Opetaia, you know, into the IBF championship position at cruiserweight. Maybe reinstate Hitchens too, right? But look, Jai has been missing out fights because of that. I think him missing out this Benavidez fight, you know, it's most likely because of that as well. Most likely because of that as well, my guys, my people. So, Zuffa, they need to make themselves clear. Are they going to be operating as, you know, as the other promotions and work with the sanctioning bodies? If so, they need to stop slating at the sanctioning bodies and saying that they're here to destroy the sanctioning bodies, and the sanctioning bodies are no good, because if you are working with them, it means that you also are no good, and you are part of the problem. You are part of the problem of the many belts. And just as Rado Rahim said, right, on the show, on the Zettel show, is that this is just disingenuous, the actions of Zuffa boxing. They're not showing their hand who they are. It's as if they are doing what suits them. Not even what suits them, but they are with the sanctioning bodies if it suits them, and if it doesn't, they're not. If it doesn't, they are not. So make this make sense, Zuffa. Make this make sense. Now, to confuse things even more, they have signed Shakur Stevenson and Devin the Dream Haney. This is according to Sean Zettel, you know, who has stated that it is an ironclad contract and an announcement is imminent for this week. And part of the contract is that they have to fight one another in their first fight. But Devin the Dream Haney, he wants to fight. But Team Shakur are saying they are not ready. Shakur is saying he's a career 135 pounder, that he's not a 147 pounder. And Jay Prince, right, who is the manager of Shakur, also manages Keyshawn Davis, and so petitioned for Keyshawn Davis, who is a 140 pounder, just like Shakur, all right, who is the WBO 140 pound champion. They petitioned for Keyshawn to become mandatory to Devin the Dream Haney and his WBO strap at welterweight. Right? So they have passed that petition, and he has been instated as the #1 contender to Haney's title. So Haney now has to fight Keyshawn as his mandatory, right? However, the Haney's saying, we'll fight Keyshawn. He's on our list anyway, but bring Shakur as part of that deal. But this is not a deal. This is a mandatory order. But in the world of boxing, right, you get what you negotiate. So if the Haney's can negotiate Shakur into, you know, let's just call it a deal, into the Keyshawn deal, then, even though it's not a deal, right, into this Keyshawn deal, then, yeah, they'll take the fight and they'll fight them both. I'm with that, because let's say, for instance, Keyshawn beats Devin the Dream Haney, right? Keyshawn, it's not as if him and Shakur are going to fight. It's not as if Shakur is going to fight Keyshawn, because there's this thing that they are brothers and they can't fight. They are brothers and they can't fight. So how can you make for certain, how can you be sure that because right now people think that Shakur is a better fighter than Keyshawn, and that Keyshawn and that Shakur and Devin the Dream Haney, that's a 50-50 fight, right? So if Keyshawn beats Haney, that means he should be better than Shakur. He should be better than Shakur. But he can't see Shakur for the reason I've given. So in order to have even a claim that he's better than Keyshawn, he still needs to see Haney, isn't it? He still needs to see Haney. So yeah, I'm for the Haney stance. Get what you negotiate from this situation. Get what you negotiate. So Shakur is not willing to fight anybody then at Zuffa, because he's too small. It's too small for the welterweights, right? He wants to fight Ryan. He wants to fight Devin. He wants to fight Conor Ben. All at catchweights. All at catchweights. He's a career 135 pounder. You can't fight Richardson Hitchens at welterweight either, because Hitchens is another dear friend to him. So where is he going to compete at 135 pounds? Because he can't compete at the junior or super titles or super divisions. He can't compete at 140 under Zuffa. So it's gonna have to be 135 then. Is 135, is 130 pounder or Shaki Foster going to meet him at 135? He's willing to, or even 140, but that's not going to be Zuffa. But Zuffa is not interested in Oshaki Foster because commercially it's not a big enough fight. They are paying Shakur Stevenson 15 million per fight. Oshaki Foster is not going to do. Is not the draw. So it's like he's joining Zuffa to avoid fights. What the hell is going on here? I thought you go to the money to make the fights, isn't it? Shakur is just avoiding everything, full of excuses. And man, oh man, he is one to deal with. I don't want to deal with it, really. Spins your brain, man. You know, messes it up. Anyway, so again, Zuffa signing all these legacy fighters, multi-division champions that have belts, right? Now Shakur and Devin the Dream Haney, I'm talking about, you know. So what is their intention, right? Because those fighters, obviously the belts mean something to them, right? So it's maybe, I mean, not even maybe. It's obviously the fighters that are dictating at the end of the day, you know, how Zuffa works. How Zuffa works. It's the fighters that are dictating how Zuffa operates and works. You know, it's the fighters that are forcing them to work with the sanctioning bodies. Why ain't Conor Ben fighting for a Zuffa title? He's fighting for a WBC title, right? Are Shakur and Devin, are they going to fight for a Zuffa title, right? Remains to be seen, right? But now, I have to say though, this is a big move. This is a big move. This is a real power move to show that everybody is in danger. They've got the money to get the fighters, no matter which way they get it, whether you agree with it or not, right? Whether they're showing it their hand or not, whether they're being disingenuous or not, they have the ability to turn it up on all the other promotions. You know, when their fighters come to the end of their contracts, Zuffa will be snooping, and you have to match the contracts. You have to match the offers. How long can you be able to keep that up for? Man, Zuffa, they are an absolute terror. They are an absolute terror. Now, I don't know how the traditional promotions are going to deal with it. And I'm talking both US and I'm talking the UK as well. This is going to be a tough one. It is going to be a tough one. Now, with that said, let's see how the thing plays out. But listen, at the end of the day, obviously Zuffa is willing to work with the sanctioning bodies as long as it benefits them. That's what it is, plain and simple. It's just as simple as that. Plain inside, inside plain, right? So let's talk finally though before I leave. I want to say congratulations, of course, to Katie Taylor. She gets her dream to fight at Croke Park before she retires, and it's going to be for Undisputed, because what is now added to the equation is the WBC strap that she vacated at junior welterweight in order to address issues in her own personal life. And that belt, while she was away, was picked up by Sandy Ryan. Now Sandy Ryan is pregnant and the belt is vacant again. And so the #1 contender to the belt, Flora Pili, a French fighter, very young, I believe around 28 years old. She has a record, I could be wrong on this, 12 wins. My laptop is down, by the way. 12 wins, no losses. So undefeated, and 2 coming via KO. She's supposed to be a very good fighter. I'm hearing it a lot from Katie at the presser of how much of a threat Flora is going to be. I'm hearing it from Eddie Hearn. Right, so let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. They're targeted for the 5th of September. Great, but I'm telling you, Matchroom, to fill up that 80,000 stadium, they are going to have to put out all the stocks to make the capacity to give it any justice inside that stadium. 80,000. Flora Pili, never even heard of her. Is she even a draw? Right? Katie's never even pulled anything close to 80,000 before. But this is huge. This is huge for her. And congratulations. Let's hope that Matchroom, Katie, Flora Pili, they pull it off. Fingers crossed, my guys, my people. But with that said, that's all I have for you on this one. Before you leave, do like, do share, subscribe. Of course, drop your comments below. And as always, stay blessed. Let's catch up on the next one. Stay blessed, my guys, my people. We out of there.